Okay, let's get started. Welcome to the 2024 Sale Catalyst Information Session. This program was formerly called Scale Your Local Catch, and we're really excited to welcome another cohort into our Fisheries Business Development Program. Today, we're going to give you a brief overview of the Local Catch Network and EcoTrust, our partner in this work, and tell you the fundamentals of our Catalyst program. We'll kind of go over the selection criteria and what the application review process will look like. And we'll also go over sort of the commitment of the program, what the timing will be for those that are welcomed into the cohort, key dates, and expectations of that cohort. And then, yeah, we'll go over Q&A that we've had in the past and answer any questions from folks that are here today. And of course, talk about the next steps. So today I'm joined by Tyson Racer from EcoTrust. I am Lawton Elliott DeAngelis, coordinator for the Local Catch Network. And together we'll be coordinating this program, which will start in June and go through September. And I'll just give Tyson a chance to introduce himself.
Yeah, hello. I'm Tyson Racer. I'm the Fisheries and Food Systems Program Manager with EcoTrust. I've been helping to coordinate and facilitate programs like the Sale Catalyst for, about 7 years now. Before we called the Sale Catalyst, the program was known as Scale Your Local Catch, in which I worked with Jordan Richardson and Maya Hardy. Jordan Richardson was the previous coordinator with the Local Catch Network, and Maya Hardy is a colleague of mine at EcoTrust to help kind of pilot this program. And it's exciting to see this work move forward into its new form of the Sale Catalyst. Happy to be here. Thanks, Lawton.
Yeah, thank you, Tyson. So yeah, if you want to give a bit of background on EcoTrust here shortly, I can give a brief overview of the Local Catch Network. We are a community of practice of fisheries businesses, fishermen, researchers, and technical service providers, and we're working to build a resilient local and regional seafood system. And we do that as a network and creating a space for people to come together, share knowledge, and support each other. We also have this technical assistance arm, which includes our accelerator program. We'll talk a little bit more about our sale mentorship program, which we just piloted this year. And also through that is research. And so we're based at the University of Maine, and there we have the Social Oceans Lab, and we do lots of research studying coastal communities and coastal ecosystems and how they relate to each other. And yeah, really excited to be joined here by Tyson from EcoTrust. And if you want to give us a little background about your organization, Tyson.
Yeah, for EcoTrust, it's our mission to inspire fresh thinking that creates economic opportunity, social equity, and environmental well-being. Our goal is to foster a natural model of development that creates more resilient communities, economies, and ecosystems. Our staff work in food systems, farming, ranching, fisheries and seafood, forestry, water and watersheds, mapping, database and software development, and more. EcoTrust was established in 1991 in Portland, Oregon, on the traditional lands of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, Nehalem Confederated Tribes, Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians, the Cathlamet, and the Chinook. EcoTrust focuses its work in several communities, with our connection to the bioregion. Kind of our area of focus is the bioregion, from Northern California to Oregon, Washington, and all the way up into Alaska.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyson. So yeah, just giving you a little bit of context for Catalyst. As I mentioned, this is a nationwide producer-centered business accelerator that was developed to address the changes associated with direct marketing and to build knowledge, skills, and networks needed for direct marketing seafood businesses to scale up their operations and increase capacity and viability for long-term resilience. And as I mentioned earlier, this evolved out of a program called Scale Your Local Catch, which we were able to run for the last 2 years in partnership with EcoTrust and folks like Tyson and Maya, who were really involved with the coordination in the previous years. And that actually evolved out of what was called the Ag of the Middle program, which was really where EcoTrust kind of discovered the similarities between mid-sized farms and commercial fishing operations in terms of challenges and barriers that they're both facing. And Tyson, I'd love it if you'd give us just a little bit more background on Ag of the Middle, and then how that kind of evolved into what was formerly called Scale Your Local Catch.
Yeah, we created the Egg of the Middle program, very similar to this Sale Catalyst program. We started it back in 2017, and that program ran all the way through. We officially sunset that program in 2022, 2023, kind of in that range. We ran through 5 different cohorts of farmers, ranchers, and fishers, all working together in a shared space, much like the Sale Catalyst. And during that time, as we went through that program, we continuously adapted and changed programming opportunities. Of course, COVID came, so we shifted even further to more of a virtual program as opposed to a more of an in-person based program. And the exciting part about it was when the Local Catch Network had reached out and said, hey, this would be something that would be really applicable to do on a nationwide scale. Let's take a look at it. It's been exciting to bring that work forward and continue to adapt it and change it to meet the needs of community-based direct marketers around the country. And so, yeah, here we are, you and me, Lawton, working as a team and kind of continuing to shift the program and change it as is necessary, just to keep it relevant and continue to harness the feedback that we receive from trainers and from participants to just keep on improving and adapting along the way. And I'd say, like, in many cases, you know, seafood harvesters that participate in direct marketing also need to purchase like additional permits, equipment, and insurance. And a lot of these factors make direct marketing kind of significantly different than just selling to a middleman. So this is kind of a way to help establish direct marketing businesses to help achieve their goals. And so it's just an exciting aspect of this program and kind of how we can leverage some additional resources to support a healthy local food system. Lawton, you're on mute.
Good catch. Thank you, Tyson,
Classic.
for that background on Ag of the Middle. You'd think that by now I would have figured out Zoom. So the Catalyst structure is going to be, very similar to how we've run Scale Your Local Catch in the past. And, you know, with a couple exceptions on timing of certain courses and our in-person convening, the programs will be quite similar. So this fundamental difference this cohort is that for the first time ever, we're going to be offering a summer cohort. In the past, we've always run Scale Your Local Catch in the winter. And so with Sale Catalyst and kind of timing of funding, we realized that we had an opportunity to offer a summer cohort. And, you know, many of the fishers in our network, Alaskan salmon fishermen, for instance, are busiest in the summer and have more free time in the winter. But we realized that, there's a barrier there, and that maybe there's some winter fisheries and, you know, maybe some geographic diversity that we can access by offering a summer cohort. So this year we'll be operating on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The program's bi-weekly from mid-June through September. And of course, this could be folks that, you know, their fisheries are least busy in the summer. It also could be fisheries businesses that have a little bit of complexity, and maybe there's a fisher catching and a business partner that is doing kind of the direct marketing side of the business that has availability during that time. So it's by no means only available to those winter harvesters, but we wanted to see if we could make it available to more folks by doing that. So the program is virtual, and so we'll be able to accept seafood businesses all over North America, and we're really excited to continue to welcome in a geographically diverse cohort. It'll run 4 months, and yeah, the goal here is to assist seafood businesses in kind of bolstering and strengthening their business practices, expanding their networks kind of within the cohort and beyond into our network and partner networks, and to be able to grow their operations sustainably, to gain that fundamental business skill set that will allow them to take a great idea, a wonderful product or wonderful service, and really formalize it, so that it can sustain for years to come and grow to meet the needs and goals of that specific business. And so, yeah, we'll connect folks with service providers that we bring in for this course and cover a variety of topics, which we'll get into a little bit more deeply, but kind of running the whole gamut of business fundamentals from accounting, marketing, financial structure, and really try and set up fisheries businesses that are getting started or have gained a little traction with those skills they need to do well. Any other thoughts here, Tyson?
No, I think that's great. You covered it well. Thank you. I'd say
Uh,
these are some of those partners you were talking about, some of the people that join us, those trainers that are crucial to the program. So Lawton, you and I, we do a lot of the coordination, the facilitation, kind of just keep the wheels greased and keep everything moving forward. But we rely on a great network of partners. We have Winona Doris, who does probably 70% of our training sessions. She's with CFO for nonprofits. That's her own business. She has extensive experience in farming and has continued to develop her experience, skill set, expertise in the fishing realm. Excited to keep her on board and keep her vast knowledge kind of in the room with us to help move things forward. We have Jill Newmeister with Orca Design Group to help us lead through some of the branding and marketing sessions. Really excited about how she approaches the work through kind of like storytelling and how you tell your story to reach audiences. Farm Commons, we have Rachel Armstrong, excellent partner talking about labor and contractors and kind of how you move forward and tell the difference between the two and when it's appropriate to use those different types of those different type of kind of applications, whether someone's an actual employee of yours or maybe they're a contractor, and how we can tell the difference and when it's appropriate, and really approaches that subject through law. So she does a great job of explaining more. And Davis Wright Tremaine, really great to continue to have them on board and talk more about contracts, partnerships, what that means for your businesses, and how to develop those to protect yourselves and protect your relationships, and just keep positive, good communication between your partners. And not listed on here, we also have California FarmLink. Noah Strauss will be joining us, talking more about access to capital, and how we utilize capital, to different ways of utilizing capital, different mechanisms to continue to support your business and its needs to continue to either streamline its operations or grow into the future with new product categories you might be bringing online or new operations coming into place. And this year, Builders Initiative is a large reason we're able to have this programming. They're helping to fund the program, which is fantastic. I would like to also mention that California FarmLink, there's a connection there for the previous Egg of the Middle program. Poppy Davis, who's a contractor and consultant with them, as well as many others. She actually helped us design, develop, and implement the Egg of the Middle program for the first 4 years that it was in place. So we have a long history with them, and that history continues now to continue to support the growth of this type of programming.
Yeah. Yep. We're really lucky to get to work with a great team of partners for this program. So Tyson, I'll let you kind of dive into the curriculum since you've coordinated these past cohorts, and I'm happy to jump in and add thoughts as we go.
Yeah, so our curriculum varies. It kind of covers a lot of the nuts and the bolts of what businesses typically need, are looking for, want to refine, or have yet to develop, and really want to understand and be able to develop to help their businesses grow, and ensure that they're moving forward. And some of those things include marketing, and storytelling. Lots of different ways that people are looking for marketing support, whether that be through brand development, utilizing online technologies like Google Analytics and understanding how to use Google Analytics, how to tell your story, either in person or in a virtual social media type of space. So we go through that with Jill. Really happy to have her back on board. This year for this program, just due to timing, we don't have the USDA Value Added Producer Grant session. That might come back in like fall or winter of next year when the Value Added Producer Grants kind of come back online. There is a webinar on the Local Catch Webinars webpage that has a Value Added Producer Grants session that we did from last year. And a lot of that information is still applicable. So just mentioned that resource is out there if people want to learn more about value-added producer grants and how they function, what they can do to support direct marketers around the nation. Really valuable program. Business structure and entity formation. A lot of people might have different variety of structures. So we just kind of go through them, talk about like a sole proprietorship, talk about LLCs and S corporations, different models, how they can support your business, different tax considerations to take into place. And also start talking about like, do you have one entity you're running your business under, or do you have multiple entities? And talk about tactics for maybe wanting to create multiple entities to protect yourself and why that is. So it's a great session for diving in deeper into how you may want to structure your business either now or thinking about how you want to structure it into the future. And then diving into concepts and issues around fishing labor, just understanding how and when and where to apply different categories of labor to your staff in accordance with the law. Really important session. Again, Rachel Armstrong dives into that and really has some great insights to share. Insurance and understanding risk. Great session for just talking through all the different insurance needs, opportunities, desires. Always lots of questions around what type of insurance do I really need? This is kind of a crazy space. It's very expensive. So a great place to kind of brainstorm, answer a lot of questions, and kind of hone in on the type of insurance you most should be considering or worrying about for the type of operation you might be running. Of course, taxes. We have a lot of conversation around taxes, how those apply, how different structures, tactics, ways that you're building your business may have tax considerations. So a great session to just further understand that. I guess keynote there, CPAs and accountants could be a really great friend if you can find a good one to help you out with those taxes for sure. Accounting for managing liquidity and building wealth. So we dive a little bit more into kind of the accounting session. Winona Doris helps us like walk through accounting and how accounting kind of relates to taxes, how it kind of relates to other parts of your business that we've already kind of talked about. They're all these different pieces are kind of interrelated, and the accounting session is a great way that kind of ties various aspects of what we talk about together. So it shows up in your books accurately in a way that you can understand and work with a bookkeeper on, so you both are understanding each other. Contracts and partnerships, again, establishing contracts, what those might need to look like, and how you can have contracts in place to establish stronger partnerships, and what partnerships can kind of look like, what a partnership might mean to you. Just diving into that a little bit deeper with Davis Wright Tremaine, wonderful partner to have. And then, of course, accessing capital. Lots of ways to access capital through loans, crowdsourcing, credit cards, some people consider. But what does access to capital really mean? What are different ways you can do that? And what do you need to have in place to be able to access capital successfully to support your business to grow? It's not always as easy as just asking for a loan. Sometimes these people are looking for a bit more information and a bit more depth. And that's where some of these, things like accounting and having good books and things like that really come into play. So we dive into that deeper there. And then, of course, last but not least, we do have opportunities for just networking with the cohort through a variety of different conversations. We have some spaces open throughout our program for kind of open conversation or maybe a specific subject that the cohort wants to talk about that's not included in the training, but wants to brainstorm and work on together. So we kind of have these networking sessions that are available and not listed on here. But this year we are also having an in-person convening. And that in-person convening will be another opportunity for people to connect. It's going to be a 2-day in-person convening, which I think we'll get into here a little bit further in our session. I believe the in-person convening, I don't remember if you have the dates off the top of your head, Lawton, but I believe we're considering August 22nd to the 25th, 2 days kind of somewhere in that time frame. And we'll work with the cohort to establish which days that might work best to have the best attendance for that great opportunity.
Yeah.
Location is to be determined.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that'll come up again in the timeline here.
Cool.
So yeah, this is a competitive process. In the past, we've been able to offer spots for about a third of those that applied. We certainly wish that we could offer a space for everyone, but we also recognize that even a cohort of 15 is probably kind of on the edge of how we can most effectively engage the cohort, and we want to be respectful of the learning environment and make it effective. So we're looking for folks that have tangible experience in business planning, strategy, finance, and direct marketing. We don't have a specific cap on how the age the business should be, but in order to get the most out of this, we suspect that folks, we feel like folks should at least have an understanding of these. And I think if you've been implementing some of these elements into your business already, that's certainly going to be helpful. We're looking for small to mid-sized seafood businesses, and those businesses that align with our core values, which if you're not familiar with the Local Catch Network core values, you can learn more about that on our website, localcatch.org. And yeah, we're especially excited to work with those organizations that are working to engage around anti-racism, food and environmental justice, and food sovereignty activities, as well as those that are focused on equitable labor practices, community building, and increasing access of seafood within communities. And yeah, we need folks that are, in a position of management within the company, whether that's a founder, co-owner, co-manager, that's committed to actively participating and really being engaged in this learning community, bringing your unique knowledge and experiences in to create value for the cohort, and to really learn and hopefully apply this. And we're going to be giving special preference to applicants that are Black, Indigenous, Latin, or identify as a person of color, are women, or LGBTQIA+, and those that are serving low income and low access communities. So the commitment and expectations will be to attend all weekly or bi-weekly virtual trainings between June and September, to attend the in-person convening in August. The Local Catch Network has pulled together resources supported by the Builders Initiative and other organizations that fund our work, like the USDA and NOAA. And we have enough resources to pay for this in-person convening, but we really want people to commit to being a part of all of these sessions, because they're all going to be a valuable component of the learning. And also we put a lot of work into making them meaningful, engaging, and we want folks to be showing up and bringing their knowledge to really maximize the value there. We want you to engage with the technical service providers and other members of the cohort. We want this to be an active learning community. And we want to know that folks are planning to really show up, do all of the work, really engage with the material. This is not a passive course. It's not a certification. You're not going to walk with a certificate. We're really trying to pass off fundamental skills. And in order to do that, we really need people to be engaging with the material. So there'll be a variety of homework assignments and evaluations that you'll do to really help us cater the teaching directly to what people's needs are. And yeah, we will use that feedback and data that the businesses provide to make sure that we're running this program as effectively as we can, and to continue to improve and have it evolve in the years to come.
Yeah, and to be a little bit specific on that last slide, Lawton, I would just say and I know it's in some of our materials, but the meetings are weekly. They start June 11th and they run through September 6th. Each of those sessions are an hour and a half, and they occur on Tuesday and Thursday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. And for homework, a lot of people often have times around homework and what that means. And I think that also it's very dependent on who the participant is, and maybe some of the tools or methods they already have in place or don't have in place. But I think regardless of the business, you can maybe expect, depending on what you may have or not have at your disposal already, or maybe what you've already developed or have yet to develop, you can probably expect at least maybe like 10 hours of homework, maybe even up to like 30 hours of homework. Of course, if you're really diving in and you're getting a lot out of it, you may want to go a lot deeper, in which case you may exceed 30 hours, but that's great if you are, and digging in that deep and really putting in time and effort into some of the accounting tools or time management tools, things of that nature that are provided throughout the program. And though we don't have a certificate, some lending programs like that are out there, they do provide loans that give you like a certain like discounts on the percentage of your loan, if you've gone through a business training course like this one. In those cases, if it's an opportunity for somebody to get a better loan rate because they've attended a session like this, they've attended a course like this, we can create a certificate that outlines the content that you've successfully gone through, and kind of have that signed and provide that to you to submit to whoever you might be considering getting a loan from as a resource. We don't have like a certificate at the end for everybody. We haven't done that, but we can provide documentation if that's of support, to folks that are interested in this program that might be able to take advantage of better loan rates by attending. Just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, thank you for providing that clarification, Tyson. And yeah, for anyone who's partially traumatized by the word homework, really this is all just getting the most value out of the course by engaging with the material. And unlike homework, this is going to be from school, that is, this is going to be extremely tailored to exactly what you're doing, and really hopefully helping you overcome some hurdles and some questions that you've had, and with the support of this professional expertise. Of course, in a 90-minute session, most of what can happen is an information download, and we do balance that between classes that are more focused on question and answer versus downloads of information. But in order to really get the most value out of it, applying that information, getting into your cash flow statements, getting into your books, and looking at your marketing strategies, and really kind of applying what you're learning directly to what you're doing in your business, will be the way to get the most value. And of course, this isn't graded. You're not going to pass or fail, but it's really the extent to which you want to use these skills to catalyze your work. So yeah, next steps. The deadline for this program to apply is April 17th. And we will be notifying, we'll be kind of evaluating and then notifying the applicants, if they're going to be selected for the cohort by probably early to mid-May. For those that do get accepted into the cohort, by the end of May, we'll have you fill out what we call our business health assessment. This will be kind of a really useful tool for us, at least to get started. I think this year we're shifting, rather than one big measure at the beginning, to a series of measures that we'll do related to each kind of section of coursework. But it will be important that in lieu of the beginning, you kind of go through what will likely be the largest of the chunks that will give us an understanding of where you're at as a business, so that we can make sure that our instructors are tailoring their teaching to where you're at and making it most effective.
Yeah, to be clear on the BHA, before it was a longer survey we provided at the beginning of the program. And this year, after talking with trainers, what we've decided is we're just going to take the business health assessment and basically cut it into pieces. And really, it's going to be a way for trainers to gather information about specific session topics from the cohort to help inform how they develop that training session. So they'll be taking your direct data that you input into a brief survey, maybe once a week or once every other week, that'll help inform those trainers on how they can design their future sessions to best support the participants that are in our program. So it's maybe just an update and another way to explain that. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, as we mentioned before, we're going to kick off this program in June, mid-June. And the sessions, which is I think about 14 weeks of sessions, will run from June through September. In August, as Tyson mentioned, I think we're looking at August 22nd through the 25th. We'll host our in-person convening, and we want folks to really go into this program knowing that they are available on those dates, and to carve that out as soon as possible, so that we can have full participation there. We will be deciding specifically where and the activities that we'll be doing while we're together, once we know where the cohort is coming from and the unique needs, and how we can use field experiences, engaging with other local Catch Network businesses in their environments, and even, do we host it on the West Coast and the East, on the Great Lakes? We'll decide that based on where the cohort is and what makes the most sense, so that we can really tailor that. But those dates at this point are fixed, August 22nd through 25th. And we hope that if you are applying, that you are certain that you can be available during that time. And then, in September, we'll conclude the program. So at this point, we'll open it up for Q&A. For those of you that are in attendance, we're happy to answer any questions that you have. And we'll also be just going through this Sale Catalyst frequently asked questions document. We'll go through a few of these. I can kind of prompt Tyson, and he can answer based on his experience with the previous cohorts and how we think this upcoming cohort may run. But we will also make sure that where this recording is stored on localcatch.org in our community dialogue page, that there's also a link to these frequently asked questions, so that it's really clear where you can follow up. So don't feel like you need to write all of this down. All of this is stored, and we'll also be updating it with any questions that come up today.
It might be good to link this directly on our Sale Catalyst page as well somewhere.
Yes. Yep. It will also live. It'll also live, and I think it may already live there as well. So Sale, this sort of new umbrella of technical services that we're offering, our Seafood Accelerator and Innovation Lab, has now its own page where you can find more information about Sale Catalyst and also the Sale Mentorship Program. And again, where this webinar is recorded, there'll be a link, but you can just look for our in our work. You'll find our accelerator category, and that's where you'll find the Sale page. on
We'll
local.
have a follow-up email that we can just send out generally to the local catch network, maybe through the listserv or something like that, about just some follow-up resources.
Yes. Yep.
Cool. Great.
Great. Well, to start, yeah, is there any questions from the audience? We'd be happy to answer those now. Otherwise, we can jump into our FAQs. Hi, Andrea.
Hi there. How are you, Lawton?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So maybe I have a few questions for my peculiar situation. So as I told you before, I work for a northern community, so I'll be based in Sanikiluaq, Nunavut. That might cause a little problem for the in-person meeting, since bringing me there and back up might cost close to like $4,000, 5,000. So it's like very expensive to get out and in. And I was just wondering, is there a way to adapt and maybe hybridize some activities so I can like, if I apply and get accepted, and because I think this could be a very interesting opportunity for me, but also for my Indigenous partners to assist the Sail Catalyst program, because they will be running the fishery once I leave. And so it's I see this as a big toolbox that they can foster and like use this information and do a bunch of things. So I would really be interested in being part of the cohort, but I do have some like little, like even the beginning of the first week, the June 11th week, I'll be back at work on June 20th. So like that might be also, so what is the flexibility regarding this? And like, is there any way to do something about it?
Yeah, great question, Andrea. And I'll let Tyson jump in there with some specific thoughts. I will say that in terms of the financial barrier to get a cohort, in the past we haven't had to make sacrifices in that way. We've been able to bring everyone out, and people are coming from many different parts of the country to participate. I think that we probably would have to be mindful, and there probably would be a cap that we would have to look at. But I wouldn't say just because you're in a more remote community that it's impossible for us. It's, entirely possible that we would be in the Northeast, and it would actually be maybe even easier for you to get there than someone on the West Coast. So in terms of a hybridized option, we haven't done that in the past. We really do want folks to attend in person because there's just a lot that can't be captured. But I wouldn't say, given your unique circumstances, not to apply if you felt like that was not possible. And we don't want to exclude people because there's some barrier that just makes it impossible for them to attend. We just want to be able to engage with you guys and create that opportunity. And I can let Tyson speak to that more, but I think, just being straightforward and forthright in your application and letting us know as soon as possible any barriers, you're not going to be disqualified from participation if there's a session or two that you're not going to make. Life happens. We understand that. Sometimes there's things that we need to plan around months in advance. Sometimes things pop up on short notice. We're just really trying to have a really engaged and involved cohort. And of course, the sessions themselves, can be recorded if someone knows that they're going to be away, and we can provide that material. But the convening itself, it would probably be a little bit more difficult because we'd actually be out in the field visiting other fisheries businesses and just trying to create that sort of intimate, maybe disconnected from technology type environment. But Tyson, I'd love to get your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, thanks, Lawton. I would agree that thanks for raising the flag. Like, if you were accepted into the program, it could be really expensive to get you out in person. Great to know. I wouldn't say that means we can't get you out there in person, but it's the more upfront that people can be with us about anticipated barriers, the better we can just be ready for that. That definitely doesn't limit your application. We're not going to say no, oh, they can't make it in person, they're going to be expensive, so therefore we're not bringing them into the program. We're really keeping it focused on the business, who they are, kind of a lot of those different aspects that we went through earlier in the presentation. Not so much on your barriers. If there's barriers that you have or others have regarding distance, maybe there's a lack of computer ability. Maybe you need a new computer. Maybe you need an internet booster of some sort. Maybe there's something you need to better connect with the cohort. I wouldn't say that. I would say let us know that so we can think about like, wow, these folks are really great. We want them in the program. How can we help them? And where are our resources and how can we deploy those resources to support those that are in very remote and rural locations to have access to this information? I think that's a value that we hold and something we want to brainstorm and problem solve around. So thanks for flagging that. And then also, yeah, for not attending sessions because you have other conflicts that are perceived, just letting us know that in the application's great. Things do pop up during the course of a 3-month program like this one as well. Life happens, as Lawton said. And in the past, Lawton, we've actually recorded every single session and made every single session available to participants. Often participants want to go back, revisit the information, re-listen to what the trainers have said, or they weren't able to make a session and they really want that information. So that's available to go back and kind of review via video. So you're not losing information or you don't have a barrier to getting that information. We try to make it available through recordings of each session. So I hope that answers some of your questions. Did you have other questions for us, Andrea?
Well, I guess another question I would have is you talked about the business plan and kind of like more of describing how things are running. But we are very in the preliminary stages of like putting this business together and putting like getting the licenses and all of that. And so we're very at the beginning, but there's a huge lack of resources and knowledge surrounding all of the things that this program has to offer. And that might like once the program starts in June, we will be way over forward. Like we will probably have the license already and have started fishing, but you know, the business side of the fishery might not be as well established as other participants. And I was wondering if that could also maybe be a problem.
Yeah, and that's something that we always have to balance through the program. We've had businesses that are, you know, established for 10 years. They might have like 10 employees. They might have a grower, you know, a higher gross income, and they have a lot of knowledge about some of the systems that are in place, down to businesses that are maybe more similar to what you're describing. And I would say there's, you know, that's always the challenge with a program like this is just providing the right amount of information where everybody gets something out of it. Some of the information provided may be too much or may kind of go over the current ability or go over the head of current understanding about maybe the operations that you're developing. But I think a lot of the content should land or should provide like, oh, we're not going to be able to implement that this year, but this is something we need to note for next year as we continue to grow our business. And this is something we have to do. So maybe it's not a short-term goal, but this is going to be a long-term goal that we're going to be looking at. We need to take note of that. So creating goals from what you're learning in the business or things like, oh, I don't know what this means. It seems important, and flagging that for continued follow-up in your business and how it's developing are kind of ways you can go about mitigating that. But there's kind of like a balance that we're always trying to strike depending on the participants and who's in the cohort. And again, hopefully some of the surveys or the business health assessment kind of surveys that we do periodically throughout the program will also help our trainers be able to tailor some of their comments and some of the curriculum better to support the participants and where they're at. So there's ways that we try to mitigate that, but I wouldn't say because of your circumstance that you're currently in, it sounds like there's a lot of knowledge that's already there. in terms of these things, but it's getting the business together and getting it launched that you're working on. So you might already be starting from a place that you can really start to capitalize on the information, just because it sounds like you're starting from a place of already a lot of knowledge, though the business is just getting formed and getting put together.
Yep. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your questions, Andrea. Any other questions in the audience before we jump into some of the questions from the past? Well, one question that we've had come up in the past is, how do you define a seafood business? And the way that we've looked at this in the past is that the Catalyst is designed for seafood businesses that are currently selling products in direct marketing channels. This could be farmers or fishermen's markets, community supported fisheries, selling off the boat, dockside, selling directly to institutions, to retailers or cooperatives, and that are seeking help to grow this aspect of their business. We're not looking to help folks tap into global markets, or to really like scale up like wholesale distributor type sales relationships, but really focused on that direct marketing and folks that are trying to keep their seafood local and regional, and tell that story. Tyson, I don't know if you have any other thoughts there. If not, I've got some questions to throw to you as well.
I think that's good enough and general enough. I guess I would just recognize that there's a lot of different seafood businesses, types, styles, ways that seafood is sold, distributed, moved across like different regions throughout the United States. And really, we're just looking for those that are at least selling some of their product directly into markets and are looking to refine that part of their business and growth in that part of their business. So however that might be happening for you is maybe what we're looking, is the type of business we're looking to support. I don't want to box it in too much because there's a lot of creative things happening out there around the country. If anybody has questions, or is unsure, they can always reach out to you or me, and we can talk through that as well. But generally, if you're selling product directly to consumers as at least a part of your business, then I think you're generally qualify. In the case of Andra, starting up the business in June as this program's launching, that's, in my book, that's close enough to what we're talking about as far as the seafood business. And Andra would qualify for, I think be a great opportunity for that business to be a part of something like this program. So there's our thoughts around who we'd like to have in the program. And then there's kind of like reality, which is varied, dynamic, and can be different for a lot of different people in a lot of different places. And we want to be flexible and thoughtful about what that looks like, in terms of who we accept into the program.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I think isn't really addressed in our FAQ, and something that we might want to add, is just the types of seafood that are part of our network and that can be part of this accelerator is really broad, right? Seafood is this huge category, that could be finfish, wild caught finfish, wild harvested shellfish. That could be mariculture products like shellfish or kelp or other products. That could be fish caught in the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Great Lakes. The criteria there are quite broad, and we're just seafood is a large and inclusive category that includes many things. And it would be wonderful if you brought to the table something we hadn't even heard of before, or had never been able to serve through our accelerator program. So Tyson, one question that's come up in the past: many small fishing businesses are a team of some kind. Maybe this is a spouse or a family member or a business partner, and does there need to be like one designated attendee from the business available for the sessions, or can the couple take turns attending sessions?
Yeah. In the case of like a husband and wife team or a business that has multiple founders, or a business that has a relationship of a team somehow, like a couple managers and a founder. I think what works best in my experience in this program, and I think what's highly encouraged, if at all possible, is if you do have a team of 2 or 3 that can attend programs and trainings together as much as possible. So all of you are on the same training sessions. That typically works the best, because then all of that knowledge is shared amongst your team and no one person is holding that knowledge. It provides the team more to talk about and discuss and paths forward for how those businesses develop. And they're starting from the same place with the same knowledge from the same training. And we've seen that be really productive and supportive to what participants and businesses are able to get out of the program. That said, like, that's a lot of scheduling, a lot of programming twice a week. So oftentimes we'll have, if it's a husband and wife team, maybe we'll have both of them show up for some trainings, and then some trainings only one of them can make it. Sometimes they're switching off, depending on what the team might look like from a business that's accepted into the program. And so that's okay too. But if at all possible, it's great to have actually more than one person present at these trainings. So, if you think your bookkeeper might be important to bring to the accounting training and bookkeeping training, do that. If you think there's a manager from your kind of marketing and sales operations that would be important to bring into the majority of these conversations, bring them into it, to learn with you, and be a part of that, so you can kind of grow the business and the ideas and those things together as a team.
Yeah, great thoughts, Tyson. Yeah, one question that's come up in the past is if there are any unexpected costs for participants that they need to consider, such as program fee or travel lodging for the in-person convening. Thanks to the funders like Builders Initiative, USDA, NOAA, that fund our work at Local Catch Network. We have never had to charge for this program, and will not be charging for any aspect of this program this year. And yeah, if there's any unique needs that you have, as Tyson expressed earlier in the webinar, technology needs or a unique travel situation, if you're coming from somewhere very remote, just letting us know those details as soon as possible in your application, so that we can think about how we can go about using the resources we have to best serve our cohort. And one question that's come up in the past, Tyson, is whether business details are kept confidential during the application process and afterward.
Yes, they are. So what we typically do is we'll put together a quick, like, a one pager, right, about who's in the program. And folks can opt out of that if they don't want to be mentioned. Typically there's an opportunity for folks to opt out of that, but typically we'll just say, this is who's in the program. We're excited to be launching it. But in terms of details from the application related to, what's the sensitivity that people have around, like, gross income, things like that, we won't be distributing any of that information, and all that type of information is kept confidential. If any of that information were to be relayed to, like, a funder, for example, it would only be done in aggregate of the entire cohort. And it wouldn't be specific information for any one business. We really try and keep anything like that confidential and just to the application process and application process alone.
Yeah. So one question that's come up in the past is if there will be any one-on-one or small group mentoring through this program. Since that question was asked, we've launched our SAIL mentorship program, which is really exciting. This is our first year. You can learn more about it on the SAIL web page on the localcatch.org website. And that program is only 4 businesses that make it in. It's pretty selective because that's a year-long intensive mentorship process. That being said, we're a network. The Local Catch Network is all about supporting each other and learning together and sharing knowledge. And so To the extent that you have a specific obstacle or barrier that you're trying to overcome, part of my role as a coordinator of Local Catch will be connecting you with folks that that may have overcome similar barriers, and this would be a little bit less formal, but there will be opportunities there. We may have opportunities as well to connect you directly with some of the contractors that we're working with to kind of engage around specific questions you have. And we may be able to deploy some of the resources from the grant that's funding this program as well to provide some kind of limited duration mentorship opportunities around on specific topics, things like marketing or building out certain types of systems. And that's kind of discretionary. We haven't had the resources to do that in the past, but we're excited to find ways to use the resources that we have to most effectively help all the businesses that go through this program. So I don't know if you have any other thoughts on this or how it's looked in the past, Tyson.
No, that sounds great. There may be opportunities for some quick one-on-one follow-up with a trainer at some point. Right now we don't have that scheduled. But I think there's just continued great opportunities, as you were pointing out, and within the cohort, for the cohort to work with each other, bounce ideas off each other, and use each other as support resources. Sometimes we're able to maybe glean information from others as well. If there's like an outstanding question in the cohort that we'd really like to get answered, we'll reach out and we'll talk with some of the other professionals out in the field to help find answers that maybe we can't reply to immediately in a training session, or that we get through an email or something like that. So we do our best to help continue to find resources as we can. But the one-on-one training sessions aren't something that I think is currently built into this particular Sale Catalyst. So I'm really excited about the mentorship program.
Yeah.
Let's see how that goes.
Well, with that, I'll just remind folks that the FAQ, this frequently asked questions document, the recording, the link to the recording will all live on the Sale Catalyst webpage. We'll get that all of this information on there soon. Also, feel free to reach out to both Tyson and myself. Our emails are here. Don't forget to apply before April 17th. We'll be again notifying folks of who were able to accept into the program by early to mid-May. And any questions that you have, please reach out. We will also include any questions that you send us after this webinar into the questions document, so that your questions, if we're able to answer them, can also be answered for others. Yeah, thank you so much for engaging and watching this webinar, and we hope that you find it helpful as you prepare to apply.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Andra, Amanda, thank you for joining.
Thank you. I had a late lunch. Sorry, that's why I closed my video. I didn't want to eat like in front of you.
All good. Thank you so much. And feel free to reach out if you have any more questions. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.